my cup with some Java love. Sit on down, let's talk it up. I know some laughing lattes.
Welcome to another episode of Life and Lattes with Liv and Cole. I'm Liv.
And I'm Cole.
We have a guest on today, like we have the past couple of weeks, but a new guest, Jeremy Miller. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy to be here.
Welcome.
We still don't have the soundboard yet, so
We're gonna work on that though.
We'll make our own sound effects.
Yeah.
There you go. Yep. Just mouth effects today.
Right.
Sorry for the listeners.
I know. Sorry in advance. Oh gosh.
What are we drinking today, Liv? Oh, you're drinking it right now.
I am. I just took a sip.
We did that last week.
You
I'm
do
sorry.
that to me every time. I think you intentionally.
He plans it.
He plans it. Like he waits for me to take a drink and it's like, "What are we drinking?" And I'm like,
Hey!
Okay. That was a weird noise.
That was weird.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's called Peet's.
Peet's.
I've
how you spell
never. What did you say?
I said that's not how you spell Pete, but
Okay. Never heard of it. I'm
Being
gonna
hateful
gloss
today.
over. I know. Never heard of it.
It is
but
good.
I thought the packaging was cute. Not
oh my
gonna
gosh.
lie. But then I looked it up online on Instagram. They have a really great following, and their Instagram looked really good. And so I
Cool.
was like, I dig it. Let's try it.
Are they? Where are they out of?
Ooh,
Oh.
Might say on the packaging.
rats. I don't know.
Okay, I'll look it up.
California.
California.
Cali.
Yep, Cali. So it's a medium roast. It's called Big Bang. Vibrant blast of tropical fruit in a smooth medium style.
It's really good.
That's
Smooth
really
medium
good
style.
description.
I relate.
What was I gonna say? I just pulled up the website and it says the original craft coffee,
Oh,
okay.
original.
the OG.
The OG. Love it.
I don't know if I'm
it's-
getting too much of maybe on the aftertaste
Of what?
the fruit?
The tropical.
the tropicalness.
Yeah, I see. This is the type of coffee where I could literally drink the whole pot of coffee or the whole like French press. Like it's a really, really smooth, easy drink, you know?
I'm not getting a tropical taste, but I'm getting a smooth, just bold, and that's just kind of how I like my coffee.
Yeah.
Do you drink a lot of coffee?
When I need to.
When you need to. just on specific days we need that little kick, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a go-to?
Yeah.
Black coffee. Just some good, bold, strong black coffee anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on. Hot or iced?
Iced.
Iced.
There you go.
Usually.
There you go.
Love it.
So straight black, huh?
Yep.
Man, I think that's the first one we've had.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Is that like uncommon to drink just straight up black coffee?
I feel like
I
it's
think
gotta be
unless
now.
you're like 40.
That's fair.
You have an old soul.
No,
so.
I'm kidding.
That's fair.
No, like it. I think it's the whole Starbucks thing. I think ruined it for everybody. You know,
Yeah.
It's like
All the
if
customizations and everything.
if it's
Yeah,
not
that's a
full of
good point.
sugar and cream.
Yeah.
and-
That's actually a good point.
I actually just watched a documentary on Starbucks the other day.
Okay.
It was good. It wasn't how I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to talk about like their start and the
Right.
process and everything, which they kind of did, but it was
Okay.
also a little kind of pointing out the negatives of
Okay.
Starbucks, and I was like,
Interesting.
okay, I like this. I do like Starbucks. Don't get me wrong, but I love supporting smaller like local coffee shops.
Same.
But they were just talking about how they initially started out as just coffee, and they weren't even selling like cups of coffee. They were selling coffee beans, and then later saw the market for people coming in to get cups of coffee. And then they're like, okay, but not everyone likes coffee, so how can we expand that? And so there's frappuccinos, there's tea, there's all of these sugary drinks for people who would just go over to McDonald's and get a soda.
Right.
They can come here, get something sweet and still caffeinated.
and pay 4 times
And
more money.
Yeah. and they even mention like you pay for the logo.
Right.
Oh, for
You
sure.
know, like
The
it's branding.
Just like
so,
Apple.
Yeah.
You know, that
Well, their
computer
branding is-
stand that was like
Yeah.
$2,000 or something.
Their
Yeah.
branding is beautiful.
So
though. Love their
I know.
branding.
It's they really do. On everything they kill it.
It's really
every
good.
time.
I love it.
And that's why
Dang
we
it.
keep going back.
I
to this
know.
one.
You're like, dang it.
And it's super convenient.
It's a nice cup.
Yeah, well,
I know
that too. There is one everywhere.
And the whole app thing, so I order like when I
Yeah.
park my car, so it's like pretty much ready by the time I get in
Yep.
there.
Yeah, that's super
No,
nice.
it
We just started
is.
utilizing that, like
Yeah.
on the way to church. Like it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay, we're 15 minutes out. Order. She runs in real fast, grabs it, done, and you're like, man, that's easy.
Yeah.
Because usually the line's like,
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
I've talked about this. The
Yeah.
Franklin location, the drive-through is rough. It's real slow. I mean, because the Main Street, what is it, right? Main Street and Emerson and Greenwood,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
they're
Oh,
pumping
yeah.
people through there, and
Yeah.
it's
They
good
busted
too.
out.
It's consistent.
Yep.
Sorry, you got me started.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Pet
So
peeves.
actually, scratch the outline. We're just going to talk about Starbucks.
Yes,
Right.
the whole
Today.
thing. Yep.
That's
That's
it.
it.
Okay, I got some would you rathers.
So before we get there.
Here we go. Okay.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, sorry. You're not-
Liv's running the show.
always.
I know.
Always.
No, I just
why it's good.
I wanted to talk about how I know Jeremy.
Okay.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Just real quick. We went to school together, 3 years younger than me. His brother was in my class. He's been doing crazy, amazing things. We're like, we got to have this guy on the show.
Heck yeah.
So we'll dive into that. But I just wanted to give like a little bit of an intro.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Would you rather? Go.
Here
Rapid
we
fire.
go. Here we go.
No.
No. You're,
You got to marry one? No, that's not right. Okay. Would you rather get a paper cut between your fingers every time you touch paper,
Ooh.
or bite your tongue every time you eat something?
Ooh.
you know what? I'm going to definitely choose the paper one because I was just thinking to myself the other day, I rarely ever use paper nowadays. And it's kind of weird. Like, I'm always using G Suite, Google Docs, stuff on my phone.
Yep.
But I'm always eating. So, yeah, I'll probably choose the paper.
You're like the rare time that I will touch a piece of paper.
Right.
Like,
That's a good point. And also, like the first time you bite like your tongue or your cheek or whatever, it's like it swells and you can't avoid it.
Yeah, you
ever.
do it again.
You do it again.
Oh, it's so
in
bad.
the same meal, and then you just get
Oh.
so pissed at yourself.
But
for
you can't
doing
stop
it.
eating.
No,
oh,
Right.
you just power
Right.
through.
And people can tell too. Like when it happens,
Exactly.
they're like, "What?" They're like, "You bit your
You just bit
tongue,
your
did you?"
chicken,
And
yeah.
you're just like,
And then it hurts to talk. And, like, usually
Yeah.
when I'm with eating food, I want to conversate with people.
Yeah.
And then I'm upset. It's like, nah. So, I'll probably choose the paper one. That's a good question, though.
Is paper cuts hurt though?
They
and they're
hurt so bad.
tiny. I
Yeah.
got a cardboard.
"But I'm with
cut,
you on that."
and it hurt.
Oof.
I was choosing my
Those are
words.
no bueno,
Oof.
I know.
right? I don't want to have to mark this episode explicit as well.
Oh my gosh! Stop.
Did you have to mark some episodes explicit?
No, just
One I
one.
did. The recent one, it felt so weird. I was like going through adding everything in, and I was like, "Click the box."
Oh my
I
gosh!
was like, I never thought I'd have to click this box. but
Stop! You're
Liv-
making it seem like
Liv had to say the
we
S
were
word.
sailor.
We were not. No.
No. Oh my gosh.
But I felt like I had to do, the listeners justice. Be
sure.
like, there's one word, okay? I should have put the time stamp in there too.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
my gosh.
Stop.
That's hilarious.
At 37
Point out.
minutes and 26 seconds, skip that.
I'm so annoyed by you right now.
You're gonna want to skip this one too. So, for the listeners know that we love our toilet humor. So this
Here we go.
this one was in the list. Okay, would you rather?
Don't act like you didn't choose it.
Oh, I did. Would you rather have taste buds on
Oh,
on your butt
oh, jeez.
Oh.
or poop through your mouth?
Oh no. SOS. Cole, you're canceled.
That's my reaction, but I got to give you an answer. Shoot.
Shoot, right?
What would your answer be?
Oh.
Can I turn
would
around
my
and ask
answer
you?
be?
Yeah. Can I turn around and ask you?
I think it's
I
a
feel
lo-
this needs
it's
to
a
be
it's a lose
discussed.
it's a lose.
It really is.
Because either way, you're gonna taste it, and either way, you're gonna taste the same thing. So it just depends on. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'd probably take the first bit of that because I don't want it coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, I might have to agree with you.
Yeah. I think that's the case.
Yeah.
And so then you never make contact.
That's what I mean. You're still not making contact.
Right.
Right.
You might know what it tastes like.
And at least with the first option, other people won't always know because, like the second option, people might see that.
Right?
Excuse me.
I got to go
have
do
to
my
poop.
thing.
Yeah, because you have that time where you eat the wrong thing, and like maybe like all of a sudden it's like
Oh my
you're throwing up,
gosh.
but it's not the same
Poo
stuff.
teeth again. What is
Poo teeth.
that was episode 2.
I know.
Gross.
Okay, so did you pick one? We picked the first one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Picked
Okay.
the taste buds.
So sticking with the theme,
There we go.
would you rather pee yourself in public once a week or poop your pants in private every day?
Oh.
Okay, so pee in public,
Once a week.
probably that one. Because I
Or
mean,
or poop
Your
in
pants.
private.
Your
once
private every day.
every day.
Every day.
Yikes.
well, because like the public, I could just find like a shade or a corner or something.
Oh,
Right.
Jeremy's
Still
in
technically
pants.
public.
Still, sure, yeah.
Right? So,
So I can think that one through. Yeah,
Right.
I'll choose the first one.
Oh.
What would you guys choose?
I don't know. I just feel like what if I'm in a work meeting or like I'm at some work event and I'm just there it is.
right? Just
Here it is.
Peed in my pants.
It's happening.
So that's what's happening. Do I
Wait.
Yeah, hold on. Do I know when it's
Yeah,
happening?
I was just about to ask that. Are you anticipating it?
Let's discuss it.
That's a good question.
Because if I know the time of day it's gonna happen, I'm gonna wear like black pants.
Right. Or you're gonna like make sure. Okay, there's a back corner right
Can
there.
we wear a
like-
diaper?
I was just saying, like, get some depends. I'm sure there's some loopholes.
There's some loopholes.
Yeah, so that's a really tough one.
Yeah.
I feel conflicted, but I feel like I'm gonna go with the pee situation.
Yeah.
Because I just don't want to continuously
I feel like that's easier
clean
to get away
myself
with.
of accidental poopage.
Right?
So
Yeah, because
It's
let's
gotta
just
be
say,
harder to
That's
clean.
where I'm
than
let's
at.
just
yeah.
say technically you don't know when it's going to happen. Like, I mean,
Okay.
it's not like you can time it every day anyways, right? And usually,
True,
so you
true.
wouldn't be able to either. So it's just like,
I time it.
oh, but okay,
She's
well,
like,
good
I
for
time
you,
it by the day I have on my calendar.
right? She's like,
There's an alarm set. Oh, time
I
to pee.
keep a
Here we go.
journal
Keep it.
with pictures.
Oh god.
Gosh, you took it too far.
Okay, we're gonna get away from that now. Okay, this one's good. So.
Okay.
Would you rather find out the universe was created a couple days ago and all your memories and knowledge are fake, or find out you're in a coma right now and this text is a message from your doctor using advanced technology to wake you up?
It's an interesting question.
That's a
Okay.
good question.
That is a good
Kind
question.
of deep.
So can you say it again?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Read that again. There's a lot of words.
So the first one, yeah.
It's early. It's
She's
early.
like, there's lots of words. I'm sorry, I'm poking at you today.
It's okay.
Find out the universe was created a couple days ago and all the memories and knowledge that you have are fake.
So it's not. The world has not been as long as you think it has
Yeah.
been.
Like
Like
you-
it's just
Right.
memories.
Like for my, I feel like I've been on this earth for 26 years,
and
but
it's only been a couple days.
it's only been a couple days, and everything I can think of in the past
It's
not real.
Okay.
And my knowledge
Okay.
as well. So, and then the other one is that instead you find out you're in a coma right now, and this text is a message from your doctor using advanced technology to wake you up.
Your doctor's
like-
texting you
so, like,
in
right
a
now-
coma, like wake up.
Like essentially, like right
Right.
now
Some
you're in
advanced
a
technology.
coma, and someone's trying to tell you to wake up, but
Wow.
I'd probably choose the first option because even though my memories would still be fake, I would still have the memories. And then the second option, coma, that can mean brain damage. So
Right.
screw that. So yeah, I'd probably choose the first
Well,
one.
and then like
Wake up and you're
life
like-
has gone on without you, and
Right,
so you
that-
don't know
yeah.
everything that's gone on.
Right.
yeah, technically
But
that,
that would
mean,
be really cool for a doctor to be able to text you and wake up out
that
of
would
a
mean
coma.
you've
That's
been in
some
a
cool
coma.
technology.
I mean, you've been in a coma. You've essentially grown up in a coma, like in your head.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
would be
that's
creepy.
crazy.
Like you wake up
Oh.
and you're like,
That's
crazy.
weird. Oof, that's trippy.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna have to go with the one about the universe being
yeah.
Yeah.
started a couple days ago. Or whatever.
Let's see. Let's stay away from the poop ones here. There's a lot on here. I'm not gonna
I think there are a
lie.
lot of poop ones too.
Here we go. Let's try this one. Okay. Would you rather live to be 1,000 years old but have to bury countless family members and friends along the way, or die at 100 years old but all your family members and friends live to be 1,000 without you?
Yikes.
That's kind of a tough one.
It is because you're deciding their fate. You know, like
Right.
that's
Yeah.
a tough question. I'm
Decide
playing
your
God
family's
here.
fate.
Oh man. I first think that first one would be terrible to have to bury all your friends and family, but then the other one to condemn everyone to be
1,000.
yeah, like that sounds like condemnation in some ways.
But for me, it sounds more like, because obviously in this context, living to 1,000 years old, like you're still in good health.
True.
So maybe
And you're with
it's
your friends
just
and
like,
family.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And
yeah.
then you die at 100, and it'd be kind of sad because everyone else just gets to live on without you.
Right. I'd probably
That's
choose
tough.
I'd probably choose the second option and just hope that I lived a good enough life for them to remember me for the following 900
years.
but that way they could just get over me, right? They could still have their own lives and maybe I was just a blip or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
What would you do?
It's
I
tough.
don't know.
It's tough.
Because I'm like, if I die at 100 and Brad remarries, I'm gonna come and haunt that girl.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but if he lives to be
just
1,000, he's gonna get remarried a lot.
True.
Not unless they all live to be 1,000.
True.
I'm the only one that's dying at 100.
I see what you're saying
That's
there.
a good point.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a different way to look at it.
That is a
Change the
different way.
rules. Then that way, yeah, I'd probably choose that option because they get to all live on their lives, and I'm pretty much the only one who's kind of suffering, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd take the 1,000 years and let everybody else, do their thing.
Live their
Die.
lives.
Well, but think about it though, like they wouldn't have to live here for 1,000
Right.
years. Like I really don't want to live for 1,000 years. I don't really want to live for 100.
Yeah, I'm not on that.
You know what I mean?
No, I hear
So,
you. I
like-
totally hear you out.
Especially,
I feel like I'd be saving people.
Right.
Like
you really wouldn't need those depends.
yeah, I'm 1,000 years old. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah.
Okay, last one. This one's gonna go off in a totally different direction.
Okay.
It's a little rough. So,
SOS.
last one. Would you rather? And this is there's not any more on the list, so I'm having to pick.
Okay.
Would you rather pry off your thumbnail with a fork, or put a toothpick under your big toenail and kick a wall?
That's it. I'm quitting the show.
I don't even want to like visualize this pain. It hurts.
Thank you, BuzzFeed.
Oh man.
You can actually click view results. Oh, here, let's see what everybody else chose.
The thought of the toenail.
Yeah.
So the
I'm gonna pick the thumb.
Yeah.
thumbnail with a fork got 57%. The
Yeah.
other one was 43%.
I'm gonna have to choose that one.
Yeah.
The toe just.
You gotta walk on that.
Yeah.
Oh man, a toothpick too, because that's
I'd
longer
rather
than your
just-
nail.
I'd rather just cut my toe off.
Yeah. At that point.
Get it over
That's it. Done for.
Now that we know
Yikes.
what you would do,
Yes.
I feel like we know Jeremy.
Yeah, I feel connected.
So those are some deep questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some real questions.
Again, thank you, BuzzFeed. We'll give you the
shout out.
the shout out on that one for the roughest would you rather's so
Oh, man.
far.
Yeah. At least it wasn't that first question that we talked about.
Yeah,
That's true. Yes.
that'll be on a late night.
Look
Yeah,
up.
late night show. Tune in for the late night show.
That's the next explicit. I'm just
Yes.
gonna pour coffee all over myself.
Oh,
I know. I did a live.
what do you? I have never spilled coffee, and he
Jesus.
every week says I do not, except for on my leg on the way inside. No, I've never spilled coffee, and he always gives me crap for spilling coffee. Do you see that coffee on the table?
I
that
definitely
wasn't
see
me.
that.
That was Cole.
Well, all of your memories and knowledge are fake. So.
Shots fired.
We are not
universe
real.
is fake.
Okay.
Sorry to tell you, Liv, but I'm a robot.
I would.
I've
you
been
know
sent
what?
here to
there
murder
would,
you.
There would be a part of me that would not be surprised at all.
What?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, what do you think about that? That's a pretty deep statement.
I know, right? Cole, I
You could be
believe
like a
you could be a
cyborg.
robot.
You could be like a cyborg.
I'm the Terminator.
Oh my god, you sound like Trump. You didn't even sound.
That did sound like Trump.
Terminator.
That is.
I cannot do accents.
You can do Trump apparently.
Right?
Evidently,
Terminator.
his skin was just orange for a second.
You got
Right.
the lips and that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Seen enough of it. Okay, Liv.
What?
You got us a little outline here. Go ahead and get us started.
All right. You know what? I just want to let's just strip down to the very basics.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So we stalked your website
Okay.
and all of your socials.
Okay.
And we found a lot of dirt on you.
Yes, good.
No, I'm just kidding.
Why did you retweet this 3 years
Yeah.
ago?
Yeah.
We did a background check.
So, yeah.
We have checked everything very thoroughly.
Yes.
We want to talk about your police record.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yikes. That one was shocking, but
Yeah,
it's
we-
fine.
Yeah, we
Lots
don't even know
of
if we can
stories
talk
there.
about that.
Not on this episode.
The next episode.
Talk about the
late
various-
night show.
Talk about the various lists that you're on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude
No.
can't go near a playground.
Oh,
you're-
gosh.
Oh, don't. He's kidding.
I am.
He is kidding.
kidding.
Yes.
My gosh. Poor kid.
You're good. It's
Jeez.
all good.
He seems like he can handle it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all good.
He consented to be on the show. Like,
True.
He signed a waiver.
I signed the waiver. Yes.
it's a verbal waiver. You want to come on? Yes, great. You've signed the waiver. Sorry, Liv.
My gosh, you're fine. It's great. It's great. What a time to be alive.
I know, right?
I feel really energized this week. You know?
I feel good. Jeremy, you feel good?
I feel good.
That's
feel
good,
great.
man. That's good. Liv kind of said that you started your career or maybe your entry into entrepreneurship. That's a hard word to say.
It is.
You're probably good at it.
Entrepreneurship.
There you go.
Oh,
See,
you
look
go.
at him.
Rats.
I knew it. I just had a feeling that he knew it. It was in my gut.
Cole asked me, he was like, tell me a little bit about this guy. And I was like, entrepreneurship. And he was like, he goes, you need to work on that.
You can do on trip for short. On trip. There you
On
go.
trip? Okay.
Yeah.
Is that something people use?
Yeah.
Great. Oh, that's good to know.
Wow.
Look how disconnected I am.
All right. We're already learning.
On trip. That's what the kids are saying these days.
Yeah.
So you started out young, like 16,
Yeah.
right? So tell us kind of where you started out, and
Yeah.
we'll kind of go from there.
For sure. So I'll just kind of give you guys some of the background, if you will, like even go to the origin. So
Yeah.
long story short, and we can dive into that story as much as I'm going to share. I was sexually abused when I was a young kid, and so that psychologically sets someone apart right from an early age,
Yeah.
especially. And sorry to get real deep real
Well,
quickly,
we
but
went there.
Good.
in super pivotal cognitive development periods for a young kid, like that can really affect someone, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
like by middle school, I'm questioning things, who I am and my identity, and what's my purpose on earth, and like then I'm thinking about like career and like how do I matter, things that like a middle schooler should not be thinking about, right?
Yep.
And so me not being mature, I developed stresses and anxieties and depressions at a young age, and so I don't have the mental bandwidth to just kind of go through with this, so I start experimenting with cigarettes or drugs, whatever I can find. Long story short, as we know, when you get depression, these things are a lot of times maybe temporary solutions, but they're not really real solutions, right? And honestly, even when I got into my freshman year of high school, because I'm about to share the transformation that I had. Even when I was coming to high school, all these things that I was trying to add to my life, or all the people that I was trying to connect with to try to make myself happy or make myself feel fulfilled, it actually made a deeper like emptiness in myself. I was trying to fill the void in my soul. I was trying to fill the emptiness in my soul that I had felt, and all these things that the world was offering me, it just wasn't cutting it. And I got even worse and worse. Well, long story short, I had a therapist. Well, I had multiple therapists, multiple counselors that I jumped around. And I had one therapist who, she wasn't one of those who, all right, here's a medicine, we're going to throw it at you, because I went through some of those and they destroyed my diet, and it just didn't really work, right? She studied psychology and studied the brain, like what makes the brain work. And, if I can get on camera, this is a chemical structure for a chemical in your brain called serotonin. And this isn't, completely backed by all the science, but scientists theorize that this chemical regulates your mood and your anxiety. It's one of the 4 chemicals that influences all your behavior, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins after you work out. Well, this chemical specifically, it triggers, so our brain works in like if-then sequences. It's very algorithmic, right? And so these chemicals can be triggered by different things. And so scientists theorize if this chemical can be triggered in your brain, you feel happy, you feel fulfilled. So, and they also theorize one of the consistent ways to trigger this chemical, whether through just the natural world that you're living in or by your potential actions, is by doing something for someone else, by helping someone or serving someone. So if you remember the last time you let someone like cry on your shoulder, or you open the door for someone, you felt like genuinely like really good inside. Well, that wasn't some random scientific, that wasn't some random phenomena. That was a scientific chemical reaction in your brain where serotonin was being released. So going to, my introduction to entrepreneurship, when I was going through this, all these developments, at a young age, I was talking to, lots of therapists and mentors, just because like I needed people, I needed people's help. And I had one mentor named Derek Christie, Jenna Christie, went to GCA, her dad. He was a mentor, someone who I looked up, and he was an entrepreneur. He owned multiple businesses, and he inspired me to study what entrepreneurship was. Because when I looked at him, he had a happy family, he had a cool life, he was impacting people, he was serving lots of other people. And so that just really drew me into like, what is business and what is this long word entrepreneurship that I could not spell, honestly, till like senior year of high school, like straight up. What I had found through like studying entrepreneurship and researching like, what does this mean to be an entrepreneur? My personal take was that at its core, entrepreneurship is serving others. So my first company was a skateboard company, build longboards. I was a skater, and that was pretty much one of the only things I knew. And it was really, really enjoyable because, you know, we were operating out of a 2-car square garage. My co-founder is Grant Slater, Liv, if you remember. But what we loved was we would just open up the doors and just have, you know, skaters come in, or we would just open up the door and have our friends come in. And the reason why I share my story, the reason why I have a tattoo, you know, on my hand is because if I can, you know, impact someone, or if I can inspire, give them, you know, just a tiny bit of hope, whether with my story or whatever, that's all I need for motivation in life. Like when I go to bed at night, and when I feel like truly fulfilled and happy, it's when I can know that my actions are affecting someone else in a positive light. And so through Void Longboards, being able to share my story and able to share, you know, my passions and all these different things, it resonated with a lot of people. So again, long story short, Void Longboards failed. That was my first business venture. I lost like $8,000. Just being, you know, completely honest, I lost decent amount, and that was all my money too. I was mowing lawns, working at Chick-fil-A.
Right, and as a teenager, that's
a lot.
I didn't get good grades in school. Let's just say that. But yeah, so that was kind of my introduction to entrepreneurship, and of course, you know, I kept going from there. But yeah, that was my first business, and that was really my why for being in business, and it's still my why to this day because, you know, I don't want to act like I've made a bunch of money or like, you know, had a crazy life, but like I've had a little bit of taste of some things, and yeah, things are great at first, but like what's even better is like just relationships in your life and the people, and just, you know, the things that, you know, we say like this is true success, right? In the world, it's money and fame, but like the real thing, you know, that's just something that I've been able to learn. So I'm happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Wow. Wow.
That's super
All right,
cool.
So I'm quitting.
No. No.
He goes, I want to motivate people. Liv goes, I quit.
I quit. What am I doing with my life?
I don't want to get super deep with you, but like I don't believe time is linear. So like, you know, we often think time is based on timelines. So like, you know, we're on different trajectories, different journeys. So like, yeah, I might have had some different things at the age of 20. You're here, but like, to me, I don't view time as based on timelines, right? Like I'm not, you know, you're not any farther than me. I'm not any farther than you. We're just all on different time planes. So like, yeah, I don't know.
I always say to people like, you're on your own journey.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Entirely so.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it. Like I'm happy that everyone's on their own journey, and that's what makes great friendships. And I get to learn what's interesting about you and your story and all that kind of stuff. So,
right. Yeah. And one thing that like triggered in my head is, you know, you're talking about relationships, and we were created to have relationships, period.
True.
I mean, and that's why like people who are in solitary confinement go crazy because like you just need that human
That's why it's
connection.
a punishment.
Yeah.
It's literally a punishment.
Yeah, it's so interesting. But anyway, that just like remember that.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
Light came on.
Yeah, I know.
So then after the longboard company, so you've been through all this, you've kind of figured out maybe your trajectory.
At least some bit of what I want to do.
Some bit of it. So tried, didn't work out so well.
Right.
What happens next?
Yeah, great question. So, you know, of course, whenever we have new life experiences, we're learning different things, we're developing new skills. So in this process, you know, trying to build this company called Void Longboards, I had experimented a lot with social media and online marketing because like I wanted to grow like an online brand and all these kind of things. Well, at the time, Twitter was like a really big platform to grow and explore. And so long story short, you know, I failed a company, yes, but I also found a skill that I was somewhat good at.
Yeah.
Within 8 months, I was able to get, you know, tens and tens of millions of impressions organically on content. I was able to grow, you know, none of this stuff was associated with our company. You know, this is just content that I was trying to just learn what worked in the algorithms. But there's one page that I grew to over 250,000 followers and ended up selling it to make some, you know, to money for some boards. So through that process, I learned, okay, maybe I can't build a business right now, or at least a skateboard business, but I think I'm pretty good at this social media thing. That wasn't my own thought. So after we had closed Void Longboards, right after Grant and I actually still have the recording of us kind of deciding, you know, is this company going to keep going? You know, how much money would we need to keep it afloat? All these kind of things. But after we had decided, I was of course crushed, right? Because like, I mean, you know, my friends knew about it, my family knew about it, and like, yeah, you know, we grew through failures, we learned through failures, but failures still suck, all right? You know?
Yeah. It's called spade a spade.
Right, exactly. And I had a mentor of mine at the time, you know, again, key. Mentors are key. I had a mentor of mine. He's like, dude, you are, I think I was 16, 17 at the time. He's like, you have your whole life ahead of you. You have no reason to be freaking out. And then also on the flip side, not only was he like encouraging me, because I had thought that this would have been a scar for the rest of my life. Like I'm 60 years old and people still remember,
Right. Your business failed.
Right.
Yeah.
He helped me understand that like every single successful entrepreneur, every single person in life has some failures, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, he shared with me, but what was the one thing that you were actually good at Boyd Lumber? This thing, no, what was the one best thing that you're good at? And I was like, I think social media. So a couple months later, I started a social media management agency. So no advertising, no like growth for business, just managing your social media, making content, just stuff like that. And that was really fun. That was really enjoyable. That was kind of my good, strong introduction into marketing, and it really forced me to like research and like read a bunch of articles and stuff. I remember being in school and just like completely avoiding whatever the teacher's saying. And I'm just reading articles about social media or marketing because like, to be honest, like as much as I liked Mrs. Jones, as much as I liked these teachers, I didn't care at all what you're saying. I wanted to learn about marketing and social media because that was stuff that was really interesting to me.
Yep.
So I just kind of kept learning and kept, reaching out to people and kept networking. And I eventually learned a guy by the name of Dennis Yu. And this is kind of a big transformation in like my marketing career, if you will. Quick background on Dennis Yu. He ran all the analytics at Yahoo. He worked right under the CMO. While he was at Yahoo, he built an advertising software for Yahoo that they bought for $2.3 million. So pretty smart guy, right?
Yeah.
Well, nowadays, he owns a company called Blitzmetrics. He's still in advertising. He's still leveraging a lot of his marketing connections. His company, they're like a 30-person agency out in Phoenix, Arizona, and LA. His company runs the ads for Golden State Warriors. They ran the ads for Nike, Red Bull. So pretty successful guy. He knows a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, so long story short, when I had my social media management agency, I enjoyed working with social media, but I wanted to feel that I was making a bigger impact, right? Like for me, like the social media management just became like a busy work thing. Like it was just checking off the list. And I was like, look, I want to see like some metrics. I want to see some growth. I want to feel that I'm impacting your business, right? And so it was kind of an interesting story how I ended up getting connected to Dennis Yu. I saw him on Facebook and I saw he had a blue check mark, and I knew that he wasn't just going to accept, just random kid, because I want to connect with him, learn from him, possibly even get him as a mentor. On Facebook, you know the mutual friend like indicator, right?
Yep.
You know how humans, we often use that as like a trust factor. We don't even look at 50 mutual friends accept, right?
Great, yeah.
So I went through his friends list and just accepted, 150 plus people so that I could eventually get, 40 mutual friends. Long story short, I ended up getting 40, 50 mutual friends with him, sending him a friend request, and we became friends. That kind of started the relationship. But yeah, so going back to answer your question. So right after Void had failed, or right after I decided, to not keep moving with it, I made the focus on social media management. And then once I had met Dennis was really when I started to hone down on my skills on advertising and marketing, that kind of stuff.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I actually lived in Tempe, Arizona for about a month and a half, just really getting involved with his culture. And because, someone like that who's so intelligent, if you just be a fly on the wall and be a sponge,
like watch
so much information about people and psychology and everything. So yeah, that was, I say I go to University of Blitzmetrics, which is his company, because like, one, I didn't go to college, but two, that's where I've got my foundational of marketing knowledge.
Yeah.
And so are you still doing the marketing then today? Like, are you still running that company?
My company was called Inspired Blue Media. So actually my social media management agency was called J.R. Miller Group. Really weird name, but I just couldn't think of anything. When I had learned like actual advertising, strategies and like what could grow a business, after I came back to Indianapolis after living with him, right, in his company, after learning these like techniques, I had noticed that other marketing companies weren't doing the same things. And I talked to friends who had businesses who were hiring these large marketing companies in the area. And I was asking about their process, what's their customer acquisition process? How are they iterating ads? Basic questions like that they should be able to answer on the fly, right? Long story short, as we know, we're in the Midwest and we got the East Coast and the West Coast, and things move a little slower out here, right?
Yep.
Well, a lot of these techniques that I was learning, on the West Coast by some of the greatest marketers in the world, I saw market opportunity. So I
aren't being done here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I created a company called Inspired Blue Media, and so just started running Facebook ad. We only did it was first me, of course, but I was able to hire a couple of advertisers. But we only did Facebook advertising because we wanted to be the best. And if you knew us those guys are the best at Facebook ads, right? So yeah, really honed down our skills once I came back to Indianapolis. And I don't do Facebook advertising client stuff anymore just because I don't really want to anymore. Working on the platform of Facebook is very cumbersome.
Yeah.
And I also just don't like to be just running ads all day long. It's a very inundating process for your brain. And so now my full time, and we can get into this, I have a nonprofit, and then I'm a marketing consultant for St. Elmo's and Joey Chestnut, as we've talked about. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Dang.
Cool. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity,
Sure.
As long as you've been doing this, have you ever heard of STARTedUP?
Actually, yeah, they're Indianapolis-based company.
Yeah. Okay, I was
Yeah.
just curious because I know they do some of the similar stuff. I know Facebook is the big.
Yeah.
I think one of the owners, it's a guy that I know,
Cool.
so we've done some work with them before.
Do you know the name of the owner?
He's like Russian or something. His
Okay.
first name's Slava.
Okay.
I think it's like
I might have seen him at like a tech event or something.
I'm
in
sure
Indianapolis.
because I mean they've come
They're
pretty
pretty
far.
big. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're pretty successful. Yeah.
Yeah, he posts pictures on his Instagram of like being at Facebook,
Yeah.
and like talking to them.
So
I was
they're a
like,
Facebook partnered agency. Yep.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Mhm.
So, but that's interesting. So, I have done some of this work as well. That was
Cool.
some of the things that I got into, and that's why I did web design for a long time.
Awesome.
It's actually what I went to school for.
Okay. Cool.
So of course, in doing that, you can't do that without talking about the marketing side of
Right.
it. And I worked a lot more
All the
with,
analytics and everything. Yeah.
I worked a lot more with Google than I did with
Facebook.
Facebook. I've dabbled in it.
Sure.
Because I'm a real estate agent now.
Cool.
And so I've tried to help us kind of like find some niches there.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
I'm a big fan of Google and Google Ads. Honestly, in some way, I mean, depends on the niche and the goals and everything. Sometimes I like Google Ads better. They just Facebook is a very tough platform to work on.
I think so as well. That's why I was interested because you said that, and I was like, I felt the same way. I actually ended up shutting them down because we had plenty of impressions, but I wasn't actually getting anybody to convert.
Right. So I won the lottery and connect. Like I think I'm super privileged. I mean, you may be sure I've worked hard and everything, but I'm super privileged that I have the relationship that I have with Dennis Yu because I mean, if you Google his name, I mean, he is one of the top Facebook marketers in the world. I mean, they're throwing workshops at Facebook, teaching Facebook employees how to do Facebook. Right.
Oh, wow.
One of my first introductions to him was at GoDaddy headquarters. It was a workshop that he was charging $7,500 for CMOs and marketing managers at Fortune 500 companies. So pretty decently smart guy, right?
Yeah.
Well, so the interesting thing with that is he's a very process-driven person, right? He's very based on systems, and if something works right, if the wheel's already been created, then keep with that wheel, right? Of course, iterate, adapt as you have to with everything, but if the wheel's working, stick with that. So I was thankful to get to learn and develop and be able to take all these processes and systems that allow for like successful iterations on ads, so you can actually get a lot of those conversions. We have I should say Blitzmetrics. Blitzmetrics has a quote from the VP of marketing at Golden State Warriors, Kenny Lauer, saying in the playoff season, the custom audiences, which you're familiar, of course, had a Facebook ads increase of 40x, a Facebook yield increase of 40x. So you see a lot of advertisers brag, even a lot of marketing agencies, they're bragging about 6x, 8x, 9x ROAS, return on ad spend.
Yep.
And we have a quote, from the VP of marketing at, Blitzmetrics has a quote from the VP of marketing at Golden State Warriors, 40x, 4,000% return on ad spend. And this is, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars being spent every day selling Golden State Warriors tickets. So I'm thankful that I was able to learn the processes and techniques. I was able to do that, and I was able to apply for my agency, for my personal brand, those kind of things.
Gosh, that's cool.
Like literally, I mean, I'm super, super thankful that I know him.
I saw on your Instagram that you had a picture of a Google sign.
Yes.
So have you been?
That was recent.
A couple times. I've been.
Right?
Yeah, I've been.
You
Yeah, that
were-
was pretty recent. Yeah.
I've been, I don't know, like 3 or 4 times. So with my nonprofit, we have some relationships at a lot of big companies, and we have something called an immersion trip where we take 15 high schoolers from Indiana, take them to the New York Stock Exchange, Google, Facebook, and these kind of places where they're going to learn mindsets and techniques that you cannot learn here. As much as I love Indiana, right?
Yes.
There are things that you're going to learn at Google in New York City or in LA that you can't learn here. So through that, I've been able to go to Google a couple times. But a friend of mine, he was actually the product manager at Google. And so whenever I was in LA, we would just get breakfast. And if you guys ever go to Google and YouTube, Google headquarters or YouTube offices, you're never 100 feet away. You're never over 100 feet away from a cafe. there's always food available, and like, and these cafes are like outfitted. So whenever I would just be in town, and you want to get breakfast at Google or something, just because the food is awesome and it's always free. So yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna ask
make
you.
it
I was just the wheels are turning. You're
Sure.
speaking my language here.
I know.
So I'm sorry, Liv.
No, it's great.
You're speaking my language. So are you familiar with The Verge?
The Verge is in the tech magazine, or Verge is in the former company now known as Powder Keg?
No.
Okay.
Tech magazine.
Okay, yes.
So I listen to their podcast
Cool.
every week.
Nice.
I read their stuff. Love it. Since you're kind of in this world, and I mean, we're talking about Facebook, we're talking about YouTube and Google and everything like that. This might not be on the same page, but since we're talking about it,
Data controversies?
well, yeah, we could talk about that for sure. I
We
think
don't have to, though.
Yeah, no. Like you're talking about that there's these cafes and everything,
Yep.
and these companies are so huge. What are your thoughts on this whole thing about having like the big five? And like, I know they're talking about like breaking them up and doing all these different things with them because they're so big.
Okay,
I
wait,
see what you're
time
saying.
out. What is that?
Okay, so we're talking like,
Because I know that I'm not the only one that's going to be listening.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
no.
like, what is that?
Yeah, no, you're good.
so you got what? There's Microsoft, Amazon,
Okay.
Facebook, Google,
Apple.
and Apple.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's either the five, which is just shows how many big companies, or it's the four headless horsemen: Apple, Google, Facebook, and Microsoft.
Yep.
And so yeah, I mean, you're asking me like, what's my thought of just huge companies like Amazon who are taking over the world?
Well, I mean, it's just like we're talking about
Yeah, so-
ads and everything like
Yeah.
that. I mean, there's only two platforms.
Yeah.
There's Facebook and there's Google.
Yeah.
Yahoo doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
I mean, in the sense of we don't use it. And, then on top of
Sure.
that, I mean, there's no other video platform other than YouTube.
Right.
They're going through their problems right now because there is no other option.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. So I think there's a balance, right? So I wrote this one blog called "How Small Businesses Can Survive in an Amazon World," because obviously we got Amazon Prime Day, and you got a lot of people boycotting that. They're like shop local, and like I completely understand that we should absolutely do that, but I think it's twofold because in the world we live in. As humans, we are always, I shouldn't say we, and I shouldn't say always, those are big absolute statements, but for the most part, we're often wanting conveniences. We're often, we're
100%.
lazy, we're entitled, we're selfish. I can also say all the amazing things about humans, but just for the sake of conversation,
Yep.
we want quicker things, we want innovative things, and that's just kind of how we are. We're always kind of pushing the curve, right? That's why people are spending the ridiculous amount of money on Apple products, or else Apple would die because everyone would say, "Wait, I can get something, just the same for like 50% less."
Right.
So I say that I think it's balanced. One, I think we as a world should watch these companies and not let them get more powerful than our government, or more powerful than the people that we are. But I also think there's values in having the conveniences, and it kind of forces people to have to adapt, and you have to be able to iterate. And also, reality is we're getting in such. Our world is getting, I think we're like 7.5 billion people, 7.6 billion people, right? Our world's getting really big. So, this is something I was thinking the other day. While there's a whole lot of us who are converting to Amazon and, not looking at the small businesses, and of course we can see lots of small businesses dying, we can also see lots of small businesses growing as well. And so there's always going to be, I say, there's a lot of times going to be someone for every market. So there's always going to be people going to small businesses. The nice thing about small businesses, they don't need, 5 million transactions like Amazon to stay afloat.
Right.
But also too, and this might be a harsh argument, and I believe in empathy and everything, but if you're in business, you need to adapt and iterate, right? So like, but I also don't feel like, Amazon should just, crush small businesses. So I don't know. I mean, I think there's a balance of, what in the world, what do we want as a world to keep us moving and everything, but also how do we protect, the little guys? Because Amazon, I don't know. I mean, yeah. What do you think about it?
Well, it's just, I think too, I think you understand this because obviously you're an entrepreneur.
Right.
As you're getting going, there's that fear that I might make a product, I might be able to iterate on something as well.
Right.
And the next thing that's going to happen, inevitably, if it's of any worth,
Taken.
they're going to try to take it from you.
I personally have a friend. He was inventing a transparent solar panels, one of the first ever of its kind. And long story short, he didn't have enough money to patent it. And about a month and a half after he was basically asking for help to fund this,
Yep.
MIT came out with the exact same thing. So like, obviously that's an educational institution, and everything, but
Right.
still, again. That's one of the reasons why, at the STARTedUP Foundation, my nonprofit, we're focused on high schoolers and young people because, the small businesses or the young people, they have amazing stories. They have, great products. They have amazing things about them. And, as this world moves on, as, new challenges come about, if we have any bit of leverage or ability to help someone to reach our hand out, I believe if you're a good human, you should, so.
Yeah. No. And I mean, and I think inspiring that growth is awesome.
Right.
I just hope that we as a civilization have the opportunity
Agreed.
to do those things
Right.
and not just be overtaken
Right.
every chance they get, like, oh, well, this thing is great. So, okay, well, Facebook's going to buy it.
Right.
And it's just another notch in their bedpost.
Yeah. And this other point, and I hate to say this because obviously I've been in Facebook advertising. This is going to sound like I'm defending Facebook, but I heard this from someone else, a friend of mine. Actually, he's a CMO of St. Elmo's, Bryn Jones. And I had never heard this. And a lot of times we talk about Facebook and these large companies who are making small business growth less possible, which is very true. But also on the flip side, some of these platforms, they have enabled so much growth and enabled so much potential. So again, there's balances.
It's back and forth.
It's back and forth.
Yep. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
It really will.
Because I know they're talking about breaking them up, but I also don't like the thought of the government,
Agree. Yeah.
telling these businesses
Right.
what to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's a very but they're also, especially with data and privacy now, these companies are creating their own boards of people who are
Right.
I mean, especially with AI.
Yeah.
I heard about that recently. They're going, we're going to make our own board that decides what AI can and can't do and what its laws should be. And it's
wow.
like 10 to 15 people that sit in a room and they're pulled from other places.
Okay. But they're probably going to be profiting off of the AI growth.
Well, yeah, and we're still saying okay, now
Right.
we're going above government
Right.
and making their own government within a private company.
Yeah,
and
that's-
saying, hey, this is what our AI, which is in millions of homes,
Yeah.
can and can't do.
And yeah, it's scary. And so here's the thing that I think the only thing that we can do, and it's exactly what you just did. You asked a question. You're creating conversation about it because the worst thing we can do is just go with the flow.
Yeah,
and
that's okay, whatever.
Yeah. But as long as we got people asking questions and kind of digging into it, we'll keep it. We'll watch it. It'll be interesting. But as long as we're conscious and aware of what's going on, we as a society, hopefully things won't get too bad.
Right.
So just stay aware of everybody.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
keep questioning things.
Pay attention.
If you start to see a laser coming out of Jeff Bezos' eye, say something about it.
Yeah.
Right? Be
It could be a robot.
No.
No.
Cole's not the robot.
Yeah, no, it's Jeff. It's definitely Jeff. Okay, Liv, I'm sure that you have some questions as well, so I want to throw
No,
in.
you're good. It's good. I'm just absorbing it. I know that you, and as well as Brad, they're nerds, right? So I learn a lot of those things from them. I just sit there. I'm like, okay, absorb.
Right.
It's fun to just learn. Yeah.
So Brad and I have this little
So-
thing going on where every time I get another Google Home or whatever, he gets another one for their apartment. So
Yeah.
we keep going back and forth.
I
is
don't
awesome.
think we have room for one unless we put it in the laundry room, but we literally
The
have
laundry.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
But we have a Google Home literally in every room.
That is clutch. That's gonna be pretty
Bathroom,
nice.
Office,
It's scary,
the other
but it's also kind of
bathroom.
convenient, right?
2 in the living room.
Do you have anything like smart speakers or anything like that?
We have an Alexa. Yeah.
You have an Alexa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Here's the thing. So Cole, and I think we've probably talked about this before, but
Christ,
we went over to Cole's and he had one in every room, and we were like, Cole, that is super excessive. But then he was like, just let it happen.
Right? I'm like, just hear
Just
me
let
out.
It just
Hear me
let
out,
it
hear me out.
happen. So he's playing music, and we are going from the living room into the kitchen. We go into the bathroom, and it's always playing. And I'm
pretty
like,
cool.
I
That's
kind
pretty
of
cool.
dig it.
That's
I
pretty
kind
cool.
of dig it. And so,
And I am horrible. I am the early adopter. I watch the keynote when it
Nice.
comes up for pre-order. I
Awesome.
order it, especially if it's Google.
That's awesome.
That's the thing. At the end of the day, I love Google.
yeah.
Google's
Google's awesome.
it's great. I use a lot of their products. I have the Pixel phone.
Yeah. The Pixel's awesome.
I like
Yeah.
all of the above.
yeah. So Brad and I were entertaining the thought of putting speakers in every room, and then before, I think it was Black Friday,
Yes.
they were doing a sale on the Hub and Minis, ridiculous sale. And I was like, I texted Cole and I was like, so I'm going out of my way to another Target to go and get these. And he's like, yes.
It's like, I'm so proud of you.
So how many did you end up getting? Just 5 or just a handful?
So we already had the
You had the mini.
home.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
you had the
And we
regular home.
had-
The main base.
Mhm,
Okay.
And then we had a mini.
Okay.
And then we got the Hub and we got 2 more minis.
Dang, look at
That's
you.
awesome.
And they're in an apartment.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh my.
So it's bumping. in
It's
there.
bumping.
Okay.
So
That's
I'm
sick.
trying to think. So I have a Max in the kitchen. I have a regular home in the living room. There's a mini in the office, both bathrooms, and a hub in the bedroom. I'm trying to think. I think
many.
that's it.
Yeah.
I know that sounds really. That's actually not as bad as I thought it was.
That's
To be honest
good.
with you, but I will say it has totally bogged down my network.
Right.
Because it's so hard. Like, you get me started on another thing here about
boy.
how horrible our
Networks.
internet is in the U.S. and how, especially in rural areas, I can't believe we can't get.
Unfortunately, I hate to say this to you, but I have fiber, so I'm gonna say internet's pretty nice.
Oh, there we go. Look, he's like, I got fiber, so
Yeah.
don't worry about it.
I got fiber.
I'm out in
The
debate.
benefits of living near the city. Okay?
Exactly.
Okay.
You're like, yeah, I could probably handle all that.
Yeah.
But I'm also using the rented router, which
Gotcha.
is like a sin, if you're a nerd. But
How dare you?
at the time, I did not have the money,
don't
so
know.
I was like, let's
Yeah,
just
I
go
gotcha.
ahead and get this together, and then we'll do it later.
Figure it out later. I gotcha.
Especially since I know I live in the boonies and internet's in and out all the time.
Mm.
One tree goes down, one little limb falls, and everybody
All the
has
internet,
no
yeah.
internet. So internet or power.
Yeah.
Did it make a sound?
What?
I'm just like that joke.
Well, I probably couldn't hear it over
if
all my
a-
Google Homes.
there you go. Yeah. Right. All the Google Homes telling you power's out.
Right? They're like, cannot connect
networks-
to the
can I-
internet. That is the funniest thing.
That's
Okay, have you ever had it just like randomly like say something in another room? It scared the crap out of me.
that's scary. Shoot.
Did
I
your
was like, oh my god, there's somebody.
Did your Alexa have like the laughing virus? The problem with it?
Oh,
No,
what?
I don't want that. I don't want to
I
throw.
don't want that.
There was an issue where they came out with an
What?
update and it would laugh like out of nowhere.
What the heck?
Like, it just
That's
start laughing.
creepy.
And everybody was like freaking out. They're like,
Yeah.
my Alexa just started laughing this morning.
Oh my gosh.
I would be scared to death. It's just like
I would put like a box over it, like a blanket.
I'd set it on fire.
right. She takes it outside. She's like,
Nope.
lighter fluid. Just
Lighter fluid.
Clearly,
Oh
I'm
my
not good
gosh.
with fire and grills. That's been evident.
right.
Apparently,
Burning
right.
myself with the grill lid, but
It's all good.
Okay, now that we've gone all the way down the rabbit hole,
Right.
let's circle back around.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit more about your not-for-profit.
where you're at.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I have a nonprofit called the STARTedUP Foundation, co-founded with Hunter Stone and Don Wettrick. It was originally the StartedUP movement is an actual company. So we're a nonprofit, but there's a startup company, and a guy started that by the name of Don Wettrick. He has been a teacher for over 20 years in Indiana. He taught at Greenwood. He just recently retired from Noblesville, but he's also a world-renowned speaker. He's an author. He's got a big podcast where he's had some of the greats like Seth Godin, Gary Vee, like big people on the podcast, all about education and like how are we developing young people for the future? Are we instilling concepts of innovation and entrepreneurship in young people? Because we have a theory: not everyone should be an entrepreneur, but you can think like an entrepreneur, right? You're looking at problems. How can you bring your unique value to it, right? So. About 5 years back, he watched a TED talk by a guy by the name of Daniel Pink, talking about just the education system and how it was, where we adopted it from, and the intents behind it, and all that kind of things, and how the education system hasn't changed in the last 75 years. Meanwhile, the world has changed quite significantly, right?
Yeah.
By 2020, which is next year, which is crazy,
Yeah.
50% of the American workforce will have some bit of their income from 1099, meaning gig economy, contractor, some type of entrepreneurship or something. So
Yep.
the world is changing quite significantly. So we have set out to empower and equip high schoolers, from the age of 14 to 18. We even have a student fund where we offer just straight up funding to up to 20 years old. But our goal is just to, we believe young people, they have the ideas. They have the work ethic. They have the passion a lot of times, but they might not necessarily have the process to do that.
Sure,
They might
yeah.
not necessarily have the mentor who can connect them to someone or just the know-how to build a structured business. So we say, okay, if we can find, or if the entrepreneurs and the innovators in high school can find us and we can, empower them, give them confidence, say, hey, you can do this, because a lot of young people, they just need an adult to say, go.
Yeah.
But two, what do you need? Do you need money? Do you need mentors? Do you
Right.
need media? Like, we'll get you on the news. We'll write an article about you, whatever. Because at the end of the day, we follow the concept of Aristotle's concept of the prime mover, right? So the prime mover is based on, and it's not, it's not a fully factual. It's a theory, right? But it's based on a theory where, let's say I'm impacting a kid's life at the age of 17, right? Or I'm teaching him things, I'm inspiring him, whatever. let's say he keeps, progressing, he keeps moving forward. By the time he's 25 or 30, if he can be, manager at a company, or he started a nonprofit of his own, or he started a business of his own, if I impacted him in this little bit, planting a seed or whatever when he was this age, and by 10 years later he's impacting 400 people, like, that's what really excites me. The layman's term is the domino effect, or the butterfly. Yeah, exactly. So like, we impact one person, that impacts another person. So we have some amazing young people who have patents, and they're starting businesses that have actual sales and everything. And it's awesome. Like, they're super intelligent kids, but also just the idea of being able to instill these concepts in mindsets and techniques, it's a long-term play. And also, we're thankful that we're partnered with the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. They're our main investor. That's kind of how we got our start, because we're a nonprofit. We don't make money. So all of our money pretty much comes from the state government, because they see this as a long-term economic play. If we can help inspire 1,000 teenagers to think like an entrepreneur, how many of them are going to start businesses or whatever in the Indiana economy? So I'm really, really passionate about it, just because, the small impact that I can have can potentially have some greater impact down the road.
Right.
But also, when I was in school, no offense, Miss Izinga, we had an entrepreneurship class, it was great, it was great for what we had, but I wasn't given all the things. Like, if I had not hustled hard and just really worked hard for some of the mentors and relationships that I was able to get, I would not be here today. Not even, I don't even know how close I'd be. So just being able to help these young people, give them whatever they need, it's a passion project for me.
That's huge. Be that cool mentor for others.
Exactly.
Like you had. Yeah, that's huge.
We have a saying called leaders create leaders, because we really want to have sustainable long-term impact. There's a lot of people in the world who associate themselves with entrepreneurship. It's based on making money now, or it's not actually valuing other people. And there's a lot of things that we don't believe young people should be taught with entrepreneurship, right? And so if we can just kind of help them be servanthood, be servant minded, if we can help them have financial literacy, just some things that most people are just giving BS motivation, if you will, and just saying, all right, go, and then the kid fails. You give them uninformed optimism, right? And then they fail, and then they feel like they're losing. We just hate to see dreams dying, right?
Sure,
so if we can come alongside them,
Yeah, because it's not easy to get going.
It's not easy.
Gosh, especially, it is the truth. Like, I do feel like in the education system, especially, it's kind of, they feel like it's a one size fits all, and that just isn't the case.
Yeah.
You just can't, know. And there's so many. There's so many skills that are needed as an adult that just aren't getting taught.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's true. They're shoving you out the door, and they're going, good luck.
Right.
Just do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay.
Right.
And then, like you were talking about, if you don't have the optimism or the people pushing you or the mindset to be able to pick yourself up from that first failure, because inevitably you're going to,
right.
Then that's when you've now hit a dead end.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk, of course, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so for many years, Don and Hunter, because I wasn't there at the company, I co-founded the nonprofit. I came on later. For many years, they were trying to sell to schools, sell programs, and he had something called an innovations class. Well, schools move pretty slowly, right? And they had learned that pretty quickly. And so we actually, when we had Gary on the podcast, Don was talking to Gary about all these kind of things, and Gary was like, stop trying to change a school system. It'll take them 15 years to make the slightest change. Go after the parent, go after the parents, go after the kids outside the school. So that was what originated the reason why we launched this nonprofit and didn't stay as a company, because we couldn't work with the school system anymore.
Right.
Like, we had to create our own environment, our own ecosystem. If they want to, if they want to get involved somehow, like, sure, of course we'll work with you, because you can help us interact with students. But we had to do it on our own, and that was just kind of a sad thing that they didn't even want to. I don't know. I mean, change is a very hard thing, right? It's very expensive. Even if it's positive change can mean many different things that organizations like the education system. So I get it, but
Yeah, but just hoping that it starts to move in the right direction, because it's been like this for a while.
Right.
And
I
it's
think
just
change in this way is just going to take time.
Right.
Yeah. No,
exactly.
I agree.
It'll take time.
Yeah.
And so we're just like, all right, we're just going to do it on our own. So, like, for example, one thing that we have something called a student innovation night. So we've got different chapters in different cities around Indiana, and they run their own events, but it's our event called the student innovation night. What we have is we have a small business or a nonprofit come and pitch. They explain who they are. So just kind of back up. We've got a nonprofit or a company at this event. Then we've got about 35 to 40 high schoolers, and then a couple mentors to the crowd. The event goes like this. The company or the nonprofit, they share who they are, their story, what they do, and then they share some like legitimate problems like marketing issues, HR issues, product design issues, whatever. After they pitch these problems to an audience of students, the students go break off into teams and they brainstorm for 30 minutes solutions for this nonprofit. And then they elect a representative, a speaker for each team, and then they go and pitch these solutions back to the nonprofit or the small business, and then they get to hire the students. And so in this,
cool.
quick 1 hour, 2 hour thing, we're able to say, hey, student, your voice matters, your idea matters. This is a real company. You can actually have impact. But also, we're forcing them to think about real problems. It's not a worksheet. It's like, this is real people being impacted. Right. And so like, it really forced them to drive deep and like, okay, how can I really add value to this? And honestly, like, sometimes I'm just there at the events taking pictures or whatever. It's just really cool to just see these kids get excited, whip out the whiteboard and they're drawing all this stuff. It's like, man, the youth is awesome. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's cool. Gosh, that's cool. It's just that's all I can think to say because it's awesome. What you're doing is awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. We're starting up events in August again, so like, I'll shoot you guys an invite to like one of our events, and like I'll have you guys being a guest, just like a guest at the event, just so you guys can kind of see and everything.
We
because
fly on a wall, just watch us.
Yeah, it's
I am down.
We literally have ticket slots just for spectators because a lot of people are like, I just want to see this happen.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm sure just being able to watch. You can see it. In somebody's face at that age.
Their eyes light up.
Yep.
It's like
it's exciting.
And I don't. That's been one of those things too. Like even just for myself, that I'm like, don't lose that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, man.
Because like in my industry, obviously, I'm technically self-employed. I guess I shouldn't even say technically.
Sure.
I
You
am.
are. Yeah.
Everything that I do is all driven based upon what I'm
Absolutely
working on every day, how much time and effort I'm putting into things. And so in real estate, you see so many people, they're there for a long time. It's a longevity type of job. You do it forever.
Right.
And it's just like, oh, I made another sale. I sold another house.
Right.
And my whole thing is like, I'm not even 2 years into it, but I never want to lose that, like,
that joy, that wonder. Yeah.
Yeah.
Childlike wonder.
Yeah. Because every transaction has a different set of problems that you have to solve. It's always a problem-solving game because everything is different. There are no two transactions the same.
Sure.
And that is beautiful because every time you have to use your head and you learn something new every time, and you're just it gets me so excited.
Yeah, and that's what keeps exciting.
I fixed it. I figured it out, or maybe I didn't, but I know what to do next time.
You learn from it.
Right.
So.
That's so awesome.
So and so it's just beautiful instilling that so early on, like. That is awesome. I hope my kids have opportunities like that.
Yeah. Brad and I talk about that all the time because, in school, you don't learn these things that you need to know as an adult. And I always say, like, you don't know what you don't know.
True.
And so that's where mentors come into play of just like,
so true.
This is what you need to know because they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
So true.
Just on like even basic things of adulting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%.
I always say
and
that.
Adulting is hard.
Yes. So hard.
Because no matter how much your parents tell you, no matter anything, there's nothing that really prepares you for that day.
No.
True.
Because everybody just gets kicked out the door.
Yep.
Like, sweet, woohoo!
Yeah, I'm still first. I moved out of my parents' house like a year ago because I stayed for quite a while, just really building income.
Yeah.
Whatever. And I moved out a year ago. And I'm still to this day calling my mom, hey, so what do I do with this question on this?
They're like, wait, what?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But I'm lucky because they're happy to answer every time.
Yeah.
So,
Which is great.
Yeah.
At least you have the support system as well, right?
Exactly.
Which, that's kind of where it starts.
Yeah. And again, that's why I'm just so grateful. I can never complain because I have people who I can, again, people are the greatest thing in the world,
Yeah. Greatest resource.
Right. So,
Exactly.
So Liv said that you're 3 years younger than she is. So you are
20.
Or 20.
Yep.
Okay. I don't remember how old you are, so I knew you were 23, 24, something like that.
I'll be 24 in September. So
Okay, gotcha.
we're close.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
To have kind of worked on that stuff and accomplished and been from the beginning, that's amazing. So
Thank you. Appreciate it. And just going on this real quick on the students who come to the event. Just being super real, like, we'll see some kids who have scars on their wrists. The type of kids who come to these, the artsy type, the oddballs, right? The ones who are often underlooked at the school, when they come to like our events, they're like, they have a great idea, so then everyone listens to them, and they're like, oh, do you also want to present to? So they're just instilling that confidence in people who don't have that. Like, I don't know, that's just why I can get really excited.
Yeah.
Going off the stuff that you were saying,
you're not just like shutting them off.
Exactly.
Right.
And those kids that continually get shut off are gonna stay shut off.
Well, and they feel like this is their place.
Exactly.
Like where they fit
Their
in. This is
people, their tribe.
Yep.
That's the key.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool.
So what's your long-term goal? Is this where you want to be?
you're only 20.
Or what's
So
You got to have that 5-year plan, because I mean,
I have a lot of people ask me that, and I don't ever give the same answer each time, because like things are always changing. I mean, I've got my I believe my purpose in life is to acquire information and stories, and then just retell and share it to people who it can really impact them, right?
Yep.
So a lot of times when I'm making career decisions, client decisions, whatever, I'm thinking, well, what are the stories that I'm gonna get from this? What are the things I'm personally going to learn? I have a pillar of philosophy, if you will, that I learned from my mentor, Dennis Shue: learn, do, teach. Whatever company I'm at, or a startup that I'm working for, or a project that I'm having, if I'm learning interesting things, if I'm doing interesting things, and if I'm teaching interesting things to other people, I'm happy. That's what I need to be happy at a job or at a company that I'm working for. So as far as like, what does the future look like? It's going to be based on those decisions, but I will give you some specifics. I'm really planning a speaking career and planning like a book writing career. I've actually got like 45 pages written of this book that I've just been throwing together. Mm-hmm. And so like if I can get an actual publishing company and really think through things, maybe I could publish out a couple books over the next decade or so. So long term is just to start sharing information that I've been learning, but also throughout that entire process, continue gaining information, continue developing perspective, so that even when I'm 40, I can still have a cool book or have a podcast or something like that. Because information is just such a beautiful thing. It can unlock people's confidence, and it can unlock them in so many different ways. And so, that's just what I feel my purpose is. So yeah, it's not specific, but if you asked me like 3 years ago or 1 year ago where I'd be, I would not think that I'd be working with St. Elmo's. I would not think at all I'd be going to New York City with Joey Chestnut and now managing his social media. So it's kind of like hard to like project in the future.
Sure.
It's really actually hard.
Yeah.
which is kind of cool though. I think that's one of the benefits
exciting,
of following this path. Like, not that it's not good to plan, of
Sure,
course,
absolutely.
but you don't know,
Right?
Because you're continually pushing and trying, and
Right.
Yeah, but it's not like you're sitting there stagnant, not
Right.
knowing.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
It's just a constant like growth of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the
Continuing to move
entrepreneurial
forward.
way,
No.
right? To sit there stagnant.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
If you're doing that, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You got to be moving and shaking.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Hey,
Moving and shaking.
the 12 to 13-hour days are my favorite days.
Oh yeah, they're the best.
They're tough, but
They're
you know
tough.
you accomplished something.
Yep.
And it's best when you have those long days when you're with other people, because it's much harder. I was a solopreneur for a while, but then now I'm an entrepreneur, if you will, with a team.
Yeah.
It's so much better with a team. It's so much better with people, because they can understand those similar anxieties or similar like long work days and stuff like
So you
that.
just brought it around full circle, right from the end of the beginning again. Just brought it around. Right back to relationships.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Well, Liv, I didn't know if you had anything else on here that you wanted to ask.
No, I think that I feel good about it.
Now,
Cool.
did you forewarn or did you forget?
No, both. So I, for some reason, thought that you had added it into the invite, and then I was like, crap, I don't think it did.
right,
So I
okay,
messaged
yes.
him this morning, and I was like, listen, here's what we do. If you don't have it, it's totally fine. So
I got some.
if you have at least one round,
Yeah.
we will do the.
I say we've gone a little longer than we normally do, so we'll do one round with you.
Okay, perfect.
If that works.
Yes.
So just 2 facts, stories.
And one of them has to be a lie, right?
One
of them-
true, one lie, and we will have to decide which one is the true one.
Yes.
Okay. So one lie, one truth. Okay.
Yep.
Yep. We'll see. We'll see if we learned enough from you today that we can. We'll see. We'll see. We're not very good at this, so
We're not.
sometimes we are, sometimes we're not.
One of our guests said that he killed a kangaroo with his bare hands. And we were like, what?
Yeah.
And that was the true one.
Yeah, that was the true one.
Oh
We're
my-
sitting there going, wait, what?
All right. So I want to give you 3, right? Or just 2?
Just 2.
Okay. So
And if you have enough, we can go 2 rounds.
okay,
so.
cool. Yeah, I got a couple.
Okay, first round, we got 2. Go ahead.
All right. The first one is, some friends and I stayed in an estate Airbnb in Toronto, and the neighboring estate was Drake's house.
Okay.
The second one, NASA invited me to a tour at NASA and SpaceX facilities in Cape Canaveral, Florida.
Oof. The latter would be dope.
I know. this is going to be horrible. I'm going to say the second one's true just because I have looked through your Instagram.
Yeah, I have shared it quite frequently, so I was like, they might just know this, but I'll just throw it out there anyway.
Yeah, so
Are we gonna go with NASA?
I'm going with that one, yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna go with NASA because I have my space buns today.
There you go.
NASA.
There you go.
That was the correct one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
We almost stayed in an
That's
Airbnb
so
next
cool.
to Drake's house, but we didn't end up staying.
So the first one's partially true.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was one of those where it was like $1,000 a night, but if you got like 5 people, it's, because it's such a big place, you can
Right.
get 5 or 7 people, and if you split the cost, it's not that big of a deal. So
Right.
But we had some people drop out last minute, so we didn't end up doing it.
That's pretty
I know.
crazy though. It's like Drake's like, yo, there's an Airbnb next to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, so the reason why I said estates is because like he was a neighboring estate, but we saw like the chimney like
Right.
deep and hidden and everything. Yeah.
oh,
So.
I guarantee
Yeah.
it. I guarantee it. You don't have Drake money and you're just like,
Exactly.
your house is 5 feet from the road.
Exactly.
You have a gold driveway.
Exactly.
Let's just be honest. Like,
Exactly. All right. You want to do one more?
yeah, let's do
Okay,
it.
cool.
And then after we do this, you need to ask that question. We never asked it about the spaceship.
Oh yes.
Oh.
Yeah, we have to do that
Thank
next because I just
you.
noticed your tattoo, so we gotta
Yes.
ask.
Yep.
And it's on your favicon on your website. So
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for noticing. Okay. Are you,
Yeah, I
guys,
noticed. That's why I said that.
good job.
Thank you.
are you guys familiar with Scooter Braun is? Who Scooter Braun is?
The name is super familiar.
So-
Well, Cade knows.
Okay, so he discovered Justin Bieber. He's Justin Bieber's manager. He was Kanye
Okay.
West manager, Ariana Grande. He's a pretty big manager, right? He's one of
Okay.
the largest. Well, all right, so here it is. I had a meeting with Scooter Braun and his team in LA at his HQ. And the second one, I almost didn't graduate from my high school GCA.
You should know which one.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
He's alluded to not doing great in school.
Not paying attention. Normally, those things don't help you graduate. I kind of picked the last one, so I'm gonna kind of leave this in your court. I really
rats.
want to.
I want it to
want
be
to
the
say.
first one.
I know. You want to go with that one?
Yeah.
Just see if it's true.
All right, so I did have a meeting with Scooter Braun's team, but he wasn't there because he's so successful. His team can cover
Yeah.
most of the stuff. But,
Right.
But did have a meeting at the HQ where all of Justin Bieber's like platinum
That's
record.
tight.
It was pretty damn cool.
That's
not
sweet.
gonna lie.
That's
That is
awesome.
sweet.
And then what was the second one that I mentioned?
Look, he's like
the
that. You almost
school.
didn't graduate high
Oh
school.
yeah. I graduated. So when I walked across the stage, they didn't give like in the thing. It was just a blank piece of paper, and I got my actual diploma 2 weeks later. And it was because they didn't know if I was going to graduate math class, and I passed it by 1%.
Nice.
Whoa.
Like legitimately, like 1%.
Like graduate by the skin of your teeth.
No joke.
Or else I would have like taken summer classes or all kinds of stuff, which I was not.
Yeah,
going
you're
to do
like,
that.
Not about that.
I was contemplating is a GED something,
Right.
option because
Is
I
that
was
your
not.
route?
But
Yeah.
because I was like, shoot, what am I going to do? Yeah.
Right, and you're like, I'm so done with this place.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I walked across the stage at 3:47 p.m. on May 20th in 2017. I remember the exact time because that was the
That
best
was
day of my
it.
life.
Like that's when I was able to actually start my life.
Like,
Yeah.
literally, like I felt. I mean, it's so wrong of me to say this, but I felt like I was prisoned at school. Of course, people are in. So, I went to private school. I was very privileged, yes, but I also felt very imprisoned in a lot of ways, just my brain and a lot of things. I just felt very limited. So when I was able to get out of school, it was like, okay, here's your wings, go fly, kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, yeah. So I've seen a lot on your social media and now on your arm here that you have a
Yes.
rocket.
Yeah, so that
us.
rocket emoji for many years, even being early high school, when I see that rocket emoji, I think of ambition and growth and just trajectory towards a greater future for some reason, and I always use that rocket ship to reply to things for like the last 4 or 5 years, and it's just become like a thing of mine. A lot of people they like associate me with that rocket emoji. And then after I did the thing with NASA, got to see a SpaceX rocket launch in person, all these different things. I had gotten that tattoo, one, because I love the rocket emoji and it just means like it's motivation to me, but two, also just to kind of commemorate the NASA experience because when I was in kindergarten, when I went to Center Grove, I was told that I could never be an astronaut because I was bad at math. And here I am at NASA being able to see cool things. So it was almost like, I might not be an astronaut, but I'll still might be able to go to NASA,
Yeah.
just cool things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Love
What?
that. Yeah.
Come at me. Sorry.
You're good.
It's just a great way to end it, right?
Thank you.
Come at me.
Well, you came, we conquered, we talked. I could talk to you for like 6 more hours.
Forever.
So we're going to call it a day. At
Cool.
this point in time, I know we've kind of already talked about it, but go ahead. You have an opportunity now to just tell the listeners kind of what you're doing, what to look for, maybe talk about where they can find you online. So I'll give you a second to go ahead and do that.
My website is jeremyrossmiller.com if you want to learn just about me. My social media is, my Instagram is Jeremy Ross Miller, and then my Twitter is Jeremy Miller with 2 J's. I'm trying to get Jeremy Ross Miller on Twitter too, but it's hard.
Try to find that one.
Yeah. Well, I know who owns it, and I've offered to buy it because the handle, and he didn't. I also tried to offer to buy Jeremy Miller for $2,000, and it's some guy out of Canada. He's like, nope, I don't want it. He's in marketing, so of course he wasn't going to sell it to someone named Jeremy Miller. But yeah, so yeah, website jeremyrossmiller.com, and then at Jeremy Ross Miller on Instagram.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for coming on for
Yeah,
sure.
really
Gosh, it was
appreciate it, guys.
great.
Thank you.
That was good. Cole's all geeked out.
I am
over
all
here.
like,
He's
yeah.
pumped, man.
Awesome.
Well, hey, that's what's been fun about the podcast is being able
Yeah.
to meet new people
Yep.
and make relationships and network. So I love it.
Absolutely.
So
Cool. We will tag Jeremy, obviously, on our story in the post. So you guys can go to his social.
yep,
Sweet.
check everything out. So listen to last episode. It was our first late night episode. We're super excited about that. So check it out. And we just kind of like went with that one. So
We did.
we'll see how you feel about it.
Yeah.
Liv's mad at me about the title, but
It's fine.
so yeah, we're kind of behind on videos right now. I'm going to get all that stuff posted. Yeah, so I don't think I'm not here next week, so we will be taking a hiatus for just a second here. I'm sure
We are in a busy
summer
has been so busy.
So yeah, so there's that. So again, just thank you for listening. Everything's going well, and we're super pumped, and we love doing it. So thank you for the support,
Yep.
and that's why we do it. So
Y'all rock.
thank you.
We out.
We out.
Cheers.
Yep.